How a population of organisms grow may be crucial to the survival of its species. If a population grows too fast, it may run out of food and space. If a population grows too slowly, it may be extinct. Hi, and welcome back. In today's biology segment, I'm going to talk about population dynamics.
Lesson 4.1 Population Dynamics. Objectives: compare and contrast exponential and linear population growth. Relate the reproductive patterns of different populations of organisms to models of population growth. Predict effects of environmental factors on population growth. Principles of population growth. A population is a group of organisms, all of the same species, that live in a specific area. There are populations of maple trees, bluebirds, dandelions, fruit flies, and house cats. Every organism you can think of is a member of a population. A healthy population will grow and die at a relative steady rate unless it runs out of water, food, or space, or is attacked in some way by disease or predators. Scientists study changes in populations in a variety of ways. How fast do populations grow? The growth of population is unlike the growth of pay you get from a job. Suppose your job pays $5 per hour. You know, if you work for 2 hours, you will be paid $10. If you work for 4 hours, you will be paid $20. If you work for 8 hours, you will be paid $40, and so on. If you were to plot money earned against your time in hours, the graph would show a steady straight line, or linear increase. Populations of organisms, however, do not experience linear growth. Rather, the graph of a grouping population starts out slowly, as you can see in the figure. So then it resembles a J-shaped curve, as you can see in the illustration. The initial increase in the number of organisms is slow because the number of reproducing individuals is also small. Soon, however, the rate of population growth increases because the total number of individuals that are able to reproduce have increased. Is growth unlimited? A J-shaped growth curve illustrates exponential population growth. Exponential growth means that as population gets larger, it also grows at a faster rate. Exponential growth results in unchecked growth. What can limit growth? Can a population of organisms grow indefinitely? Through observation and population experiments, scientists have found that population growth does have limits. Eventually, limiting factors such as availability of food, disease, predators, or lack of space will cause population growth to slow. Under this pressure, the populations may stabilize in an S-shaped growth curve, which you can see in figure 4.3. So the red line here represents the exponential growth. We can say that this is what biologists expect the population to grow. And the blue line represents the real growth in population. So as you can see, in some way it didn't grow as expected. And why? Because of the limiting factors. In this case, they were affected by disease, space, predators, and food. Carrying capacity. The number of organisms of one species that an environment can support indefinitely is a carrying capacity. When a population is developing in an environment with resources, there are more births than deaths, and the population increases until the carrying capacity is reached or passed. When a population overshoots the carrying capacity, then limiting factors may come into effect. Deaths begin to exceed births and the population falls below carrying capacity. Thus, the number of organisms in a population is sometimes more than the environment can support. This figure shows the population growth line that moves above and below the carrying capacity. So, this line that you see here, the dotted line, is the carrying capacity that the environment have for all these organisms. And the red line represents how the population is growing. So at the beginning, the population increased slowly because few members are starting to have offspring. Then we're going to experience a rapid growth. There are more organisms and each one reproduces. And then it will experience a leveling off. So as the population grows, more organisms are using the existing resources. And you're going to see the carrying capacity, the dotted line. That's what the environment can support. Now you can see all these curves over here. We call them fluctuations. Are the number of organisms that tend to rise above the capacity and below the carrying capacity. Reproduction patterns. The rapid life history patterns. Rapid life history organisms have a small body size. They mature rapidly, reproduce early, and have a short lifespan. So, for example, bacteria is a good example of an organism with rapid life history patterns. Now, slow life history patterns are large species that live in more stable environments, usually have slow life short patterns, like elephants, birds, whales, humans, and plants. Such as trees are long-lived. Density factors and population growth. How organisms are dispersed can also be important. So on the figures, you can see 3 patterns of dispersal. And letter A, we have random, so the organisms grow in no specific order. Letter B is clump, so these organisms have a small space and they tend to grow one on top of the other. And we have uniform, as you can see in the photograph, because this type of trees grow in a specific order. Ecologists have identified 2 kinds of limiting factors that are related to dispersal: density-dependent factors and density-independent factors. So let's start with density-dependent factors. Include disease, competition, predators, parasites, and food. These factors have an increasing effect as the population increases. Disease, for example, can spread more quickly in a population with members that live close together. So, like in crops such as corn or soybeans, in which large numbers of the same plant are grown together, a disease can spread rapidly through the whole crop. Density-independent factors. Density-independent factors are abiotic factors, such as volcanic eruption, temperatures, storm, floods, droughts, chemical pesticides, and major habitat disruption. Although all populations can be affected by these factors, the most vulnerable appear to be small organisms. Organisms' interactions limit population size. Populations of predators and their prey are known to experience cycles of changes in their number over periods of time. Under controlled conditions, such as in a laboratory, predator-prey relationships often show a predictable cycle of population increase and decrease over time. In nature, these cycles have also been observed, and one classic example of these have been demonstrated on this figure 4.8. So, the data in this graph reflects the number of hare and lynx pelts sold on the Hudson Bay Company in northern Canada from 1845 through 1935. So the blue line represents the number of lynx in that environment, and the red line the number of hare. As you can see, if the hare increases, the number of lynx increases too, because they have more food. Now, when the number of hare was too much, right, the number of lynx also decreases. So as you can see, they are related to one another. They go up and down, they increase and decrease at a similar pattern. Competition within a population. Competition is a density-dependent factor. When only a few individuals compete for resources, no problem arises. When a population increases to the point at which demand for resources exceeds the supply, that population size decreases. The effect of crowding and stress. A population increases in size in environments that cannot support increased numbers. Individual animals can exhibit a variety of stress symptoms. Yes, animals can stress. How? Well, this includes behavior like aggression, decrease in parental care, decrease in fertility, and decrease in resistance to disease. As you can see in the picture, this stress caused by overcrowding in a rat population can limit its size. I can see your face of that is so disgusting picture. And in letter B, you can see that the cage doesn't have enough space for these animals, so eventually they're going to fight and kill each other, or they can reproduce less and they may stop caring for their offsprings. Summary: populations of some organisms do not exhibit linear growth. If there is nothing to stop or slow growth, a population growth appears as a J-shaped curve on a graph. Populations grow slowly at first, then more rapidly as more and more individuals begin to reproduce. Under normal conditions with limiting factors, populations show an S-shaped curve as they approach the carrying capacity of the environment where they live. If a population overshoots the environment's carrying capacity, deaths exceed birth and the total population falls below the environment's carrying capacity. The number of individuals will fluctuate above and below the carrying capacity. Density-dependent factors and density-independent factors affect population growth. Density-dependent factors include disease, competition for space, water, and food supply. Density-independent factors are volcanic eruptions and changes in climate that result in catastrophic incidents such as floods, droughts, hurricanes, or tornadoes.
I hope you found this video useful. Thanks for watching and until the next one. Bye!